KPBS On Demand is supported by Paint Care, offering households and businesses in California more than 800 leftover paint drop-off sites for recycling. Quantities of 100-plus gallons of paint may qualify for a large volume pickup. Learn more at paintcare.org.
Good morning, I'm Annika Colbert. It's Wednesday, May 26th. The city signs the franchise deal with SDG&E. More on that next, but first, let's do the headlines. The latest numbers from San Diego County public health officials show that hospitalizations from the coronavirus have dropped into the double digits. On Tuesday, the county reached 70% of its goal to vaccinate 75% of residents 12 and older by June 15th, when all remaining COVID-19 restrictions are lifted. The federal government has allocated over $300 million in COVID-19 relief funds to San Diego County. County Supervisor Jim Desmond wants $40 million of that funding to go to first responders and military families with rent and mortgage payments.
They're the ones that are willing to put their lives on the line for us. They're the ones that when a fire is burning, they don't run away from it or they run to it. And so when we had this COVID experience, they're the ones that ran out ahead and tried to make it all safe for the rest of us. And so we owe them a bit of gratitude.
San Diego authorities charged a 28-year-old woman, now identified as Viviana Quinones, with a felony battery after she allegedly attacked a flight attendant on a plane bound for San Diego. The flight attendant suffered injuries to her face, including losing 2 teeth. The incident is a sign of an escalation of unruly behavior by airline passengers across the country. It's led the flight attendants union to ask for more federal air marshals on planes. From KPBS, you're listening to San Diego News Now. Stay with me for more of the local news you need.
KPBS On Demand is supported by Splatero, helping homeowners pay off debt by offering streamlined access to your home's equity with no additional monthly payments or new debt. Splatero provides a lump sum of payment in exchange for a share of your home's future value. Pre-qualification is available at splatero.com.
On Tuesday, the San Diego City Council approved a 20-year contract that keeps SDG&E as the city's sole electricity and gas provider. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says it was a contentious vote.
Under the agreement, the utility's shareholders will pay the city a total of $110 million. Activists have been pressuring Mayor Todd Gloria to cut a shorter-term deal with SDG&E, which they say reaps massive profits while charging homes and businesses some of the highest energy rates in the country. But Councilmember Marnie Von Wilpert said the deal was a reasonable compromise.
The mayor pushed really hard to build transparency, compliance, and accountability into this tough negotiation. We have an audit for the first time ever. We have a citizens oversight committee for the first time ever. So for these reasons, I think the mayor got a better deal, and I will be voting yes.
The city can exit the deal after 10 years, but would have to refund SDG&E a portion of the revenue guaranteed in the deal.
And that was KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen. Activists were at San Diego City Hall on Tuesday to protest the city budget proposed by San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria that would increase funding for police. KPBS's Joe Hong spoke with some of the protesters about where that money should go.
Whose budget? Our budget!
Community leaders from across San Diego spoke out against Gloria's proposal to increase the police department's budget by $19 million. John Wee Tran is an organizer with the Center on Policy Initiatives based in San Diego.
When the new mayor, when Mayor Gloria ran for his campaign with the slogan, Mayor for all of us, and his budget does not reflect that it is for all of us.
Almost exactly a year after the murder of George Floyd, activists like Tran are asking why this money isn't going towards addressing homelessness or building parks for low-income neighborhoods.
We're advocating for at least $10 million reduction in police overtime and shift the homeless, the police function that respond to the homelessness out of the police department and to PATH, who are better equipped.
Janaea Wall is a member of the San Diego chapter of the Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment. She said more money should be going to dismantling the school-to-prison pipeline.
Focus on youth service, children and youth services for them to succeed academically, creatively, whatever space they want to go into, we need to have those programs.
In defense of his budget, Gloria said most of the increase is due to pension costs that are mandated by law. Also, supporters of the police have cited a jump in violent crime as justification for the increases. San Diego City Council members will present their amendments to the budget during a public meeting on Wednesday. The final budget will be approved by June.
And that was KPBS's Joe Hong. The county is spearheading cross-border efforts to help vaccinate workers employed in Baja California. KPBS's Alexandra Rangel has more on the trans-border collaboration.
At a time when vaccines are at a surplus in California, the county is making efforts to vaccinate 10,000 maquiladora workers from Tijuana.
A line on a map does not stop our shared economy. A line on a map does not stop our shared culture and community.
The County Board of Supervisors Chair Nathan Fletcher announced a new pilot project to vaccinate maquiladora employees at 6 United States subsidiary companies. Aside from the county's weekly vaccine allotment, the board was able to request 10,000 additional Johnson & Johnson vaccines from the state to be used for the vaccination efforts. With Mexico's vaccine rollout moving at a slower pace than California, Fletcher says it's the right thing to do.
We have more vaccines than are being utilized, and we are in a position as a state to be a good neighbor and a good partner.
As of Tuesday, 68% of eligible San Diegans have received at least one dose of the vaccine. Meanwhile, the health department in Baja California is still working to vaccinate vulnerable populations and has struggled to provide second doses within the recommended time frame. Fletcher highlighted the importance of making sure Mexico, our biggest trading partner, has a healthy workforce.
We also know that border crossing, both in people but in goods and commerce, is vital to the economy of both of our countries and both of our regions.
The Consul General of Mexico, Carlos Gutierrez, says the vaccine will be at no cost to workers.
Vaccines are free. However, there is an administrative fee which is covered directly by the employers. No U.S. taxpayer money is being used for this initiative.
UC San Diego Health will be vaccinating about 1,500 maquiladora workers each day at a mobile clinic site in San Isidro.
And that was KPBS's Alexandra Rangel. Coming up, a new agreement between the ACLU and the Biden administration means that more asylum seekers can now cross into the U.S., despite a Trump-era ban that remains in place.
People now saying, the tent next to me is leaving because they're crossing to the U.S. finally, and that brought hope to people in the encampment, which also made people a lot more desperate for them to hear their cases first.
Who can enter the U.S. and who has to stay in Mexico? That's next, just after the break.
KPBS On Demand is supported by UC San Diego's Art Power, presenting cellist Joshua Roman, performing from his album Immunity, alongside music by J.S. Bach and more. Sunday, June 22nd at UC San Diego's Epstein Family Amphitheater. Reserve your tickets at artpower.ucsd.edu.
More asylum seekers have been allowed to enter the United States, but they have to get their names put on a list. KPBS's Max Rivlin-Nadler was on the ground in Tijuana as it was decided who has to stay and who could enter.
The migrant camp in El Chaparral Plaza in Tijuana has only grown in recent weeks. Hundreds of asylum seekers from Central America, from Africa, from the Caribbean wait for the day the United States fully restores its asylum system along the southwest border. But for the first time since the camp sprung up in February, there's some hope. A few families who have been living here are getting into the United States, escaping the cramped and dangerous spaces of the haphazard camp.
I mean, these are terrible conditions. You know, you have kids that are running around. It wasn't until recently that the local government put in bathrooms and showers, and so it's been a struggle for them.
That's Pedro Rios with the American Friends Service Committee. His organization is one of the few groups still making trips to the camp to offer support, face masks, hygiene kits, and some advice about this new way to safely enter the United States. It's part of a deal struck between the American Civil Liberties Union and the Biden administration, stemming from a lawsuit challenging a migrant expulsion policy known as Title 42. The deal now allows for 250 families or individuals to enter the United States along the southwest border each day to pursue their asylum claims. Deciding who ends up on the list that gets sent to the U.S. government is up to these service providers on the ground in Tijuana. It's based not on their claims of asylum from their home countries, but how much danger they face in Mexico. Robert Vivar is swamped as he tries to make it through the encampment, looking for someone whose case he's looking into.
You know, you can imagine how many parole requests, are being handled at this time, just at this port of entry alone.
He's with United U.S. Deported Veterans and has an office just down the block from the camp. Dozens of people ask him when they'll get a call back from overworked immigration lawyers, or tell him their child is sick and in danger. There's just no way for Vivar to help everyone, but he's trying.
It's kind of difficult, to tell people to have patience when they're, running away because of persecution, it's not safe, where they're coming from, or even here, they've had threats, that they've been followed, and it's a difficult situation for them, and you can understand why they would be so desperate.
Right now, the focus has been to locate pregnant women, people with pressing medical needs, and those in immediate danger in Mexico. But migrants without working papers or homes are constantly under threat in Mexico. Rafa Interiano, a member of the LGBT community, is one of those people who could have a strong asylum case were he allowed into the U.S. He says he fled Honduras after his house was burned down. He was beaten, and his friends were killed. Under the current arrangement, he's not being prioritized.
Es bien duro porque los abogados que han venido, que son abogados voluntarios.
He says it's been hard because the volunteer lawyers that come, they're asking for families, for people with serious illnesses. So he can't find representation. It's really hard to be alone for a situation like this one.
Y es bien difícil para uno que viene sola.
Every morning and afternoon, Customs and Border Protection agents call out names at the port of entry in Tijuana. Late Thursday afternoon, several families entered the United States to begin an asylum process that will take years to resolve. Dulce Garcia, the executive director of Border Angels, spent 3 weeks working in the encampment, finding the people who can get to safety now.
People now saying, the tent next to me is leaving because they're crossing to the U.S. finally, and that brought hope.
Garcia hopes that this system won't last much longer. Pressure is growing on the Biden administration to drop Title 42 and restore the asylum system along the border. Until that happens, the encampment at El Chaparral won't be going anywhere, Robert Vivar says.
As people leave, more people take their spot.
Max Rivlin-Adler, KPBS News.
That's it for the podcast today. Be sure to catch KPBS Midday Edition at noon on KPBS Radio, or check out the Midday Edition podcast. You can also watch KPBS Evening Edition at 5 o'clock on KPBS Television. And as always, you can find more San Diego news online at kpbs.org. I'm Annika Colbert. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.
KPBS On Demand is supported by UC San Diego's Art Power, presenting cellist Joshua Roman, performing from his album Immunity, alongside music by J.S. Bach and more, Sunday, June 22nd at UC San Diego's Epstein Family Amphitheater. Reserve your tickets at artpower.ucsd.edu.